2012 when the world goes all that, and then it's like it's just catastrophic events, you know, and it's like all of the other doomsday type movies and scenarios and biblical and Quranic history. This is actually that time. I mean, for instance, there's a famous saying in Western history about Emperor of Nero of Rome, that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Now, that don't mean that well, he might have did it. It might have been so crazy to him that he took out his fiddle and started playing while Rome is burning. But that, I want you to think of all of the those traumatic periods in history, especially in the Bible and the Quran, definitely in the Quran, when it gets to a point in history that they send a prophet, peace be upon them all, and they have to deal with the people, and then that if we don't do this, that is going to happen. You know, whether it was Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, whatever it was, the people were sent to a certain area. The only thing is, except for the flood of Noah, prophets were sent to a certain region. You know, a certain region. And Saleh was sent to a people who, Saleh, like if you ever saw the Ten Commandments, when Moses went in exile, he was staying with a people. They were monotheistic, if you remember. They were monotheistic. And the conversation every now and then would go like, God lives on that mountain, and then Jethro, whoever it was, would respond that God can't, that's limiting. But then Moses was brought there, and he said, "Take your shoes off. You on sacred ground." And then he got the message. Well, his message was the message that those people needed at that time to bring them out of the bondage and the slavery that they were in. And one of our favorite personalities is Yusuf. And Yusuf was raised up, and Allah gave him the ability to, let's call it, he had the ability to forecast things, to predict things. He had it down pat. He had it down pat. So he's a great historical figure. And those two, first of all, for myself, I chose for myself the name Moses. But also in our historical passings, discussions, and writings and tapings, we focus a lot on Yusuf. Because Yusuf alayhi salam had to have, or he had, the strong characteristics of forgiveness, the ability to set things behind, and deal with what we're dealing with now. And this is the same thing when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they took over Mecca in the 8-year Hijrah, the people asked him, now they've been rolling on him all along, well, what you gonna do with us now that you've taken over and everything? He said, I say the same thing to you that Yusuf said to his brothers, La tatraba, no reproach. There's no reproach this day, you know what I mean? In other words, both of these, that was things that had to be done, right? And vengeance, meanness, and hatred and all of that would get in the way. You couldn't do none of, with what Egypt, we're getting ready to have 7 good years right now. It's coming up. Just get right out there and it'll be right by it. Don't worry about it. That's getting ready to happen. Then you're going to have 7 bad years. Bad years. So you're going to have discipline. Right? This discipline, self-control, management, all of those things you're going to need right now. Because this is not going to be a local problem. This is going to be a regional at best. That whole region. That's why people was coming from all over that part of the world, right? To Egypt, because it was known that Egypt could look out for you. That's why Joseph and his Yusuf's brothers came. They came from Canaan, way down the way, to Egypt, right? And we know the story. Here we are in the 21st century. What does history, what does scriptures, how does it unfold to us? And when are we in a scriptural dispensation? You know, I mean, it takes, okay, I'll put it this way. You got people right now, they say, well, California is burning down, right? And they're in a 20-year cycle of flood. They had 2-3 good years, the last 20, where a little bit of water came in California. But it didn't pull them out of that. They're into a power dive of drought. And California right now, technically, especially north, this is the hottest time of the year for California. Because I remember every time school started, it was always, in Oakland, it would get 90 or 100. One time it was 105 degrees. That's the time when school starts. So it's good to be from there because other parts of the country, that's not the time when it gets real hot. But in Oakland, because Oakland is Northern California, don't get hot. Oakland is, in the Bay, some of the best weather in the world is in San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah. Because, see, it's surrounded by hills. And that coolness coming off the ocean is trapped in those hills. I mean, when you go, if you take a 15-minute drive from Oakland over those hills, you go into the valley. And that valley, you can go from 75 degrees in Oakland to 100 degrees in 15 minutes. All you do is go over those little hills around. They trap everything. They trap that good weather. And like right now, it's getting to be, for here September is like California weather or Northern California weather. You could notice that the humidity is beginning to go away. But it's still going to be for another month or two, a month and a half. Now, the best days on the East Coast is mid-October. And the people that have demonstrations, they study the weather. And they try to have their demonstrations around October 15th, 16th, and all that. Why? Because it's going to be 75 degrees, probably. So that means between 70 and 80 degrees. That's perfect weather for demonstration. It's not going to rain, probably. And wherever you come from, you right in the, if you come from where it's hot, you're happy to be here. If you come from where it's getting cold, you're happy to be here because this is a climate that's almost perfect for this. So what I'm trying to mention is the different temperatures and climates and what have you has a lot to do with us as human beings, like it do with animals. If you listen to the news, Lake Tahoe, boy, that is a beautiful area. I mean, it's headed toward Reno. It's up in the Sierra. Those are beautiful mountains, 5,000-6,000 feet high. That's about it. They have snow on them a lot. And that snowpack is what holds the water for California for that long summer that they're getting ready to have. Remember, here we got 4 seasons. California, that part has 2 seasons, the wet season and the dry season. That's all you have. You don't have like 4 seasons. Like here, you got winter, and it's serious winter. In California, you don't have no winter where it's like you just up in the mountains and what have you do. But otherwise, you don't have no like you just gonna freeze to death. You can wear certain kind of clothes in California most of the time. That's why oranges can grow in California. Oranges can grow in New Mexico. They can grow in a lot of places out there. But they can't grow here because of the climate. You just can't grow oranges and grapefruits here, but you can grow them in Texas, you can grow them in California, and they have a few orange groves in Arizona. But anyway, what did I say the title of the program? The Slow Dancing in a Burning Room. That's the title of today's talk. If you heard the news yesterday, it talked about mass extinctions. Well, this was definitely on the one that comes from Iran. What's it? Press TV? But it's really happening. They're talking about, the scientists say that there'll be a mass, they're having right now a mass extinction of certain types of flies and animals. And once they're gone, you can't get them back. They're having that right now, a mass extinction. Okay. When you turn on all the news that you get from anywhere right now is not tranquility. Is that out here? It's not tranquility and peace and what have you. If you're getting your news from Europe, it's hotter in Europe than it's been at I don't know when. It was a couple of years hotter a few years back, but it's hot in Europe. If it's coming from Greenland, up north, wherever the news is coming from, the news from Russia, the news in Russia, Siberia of all places. You're having heat waves in Siberia. And Siberia is a part of Russia where they used to send a lot of the Muslims from the Caucasus and what have you to Siberia. Because the Caucasus is a nicer weather than Siberia is just like getting sent to the North Pole. And they're having heat waves in Siberia right now. To most people, if they turn on the news what? Just the news. If the news is coming from the West Coast, it is burning so bad, and each year it's worse. And they're not burning up a little bit. One fire going on out there, it's already consumed as much as, is it Rhode Island or one of the states up there? See, the states out here are smaller. Yeah, to go from here to New York, we got to go through 4 states. You can drive you can drive technically all day in Texas and all night, and you just getting from one place to another. If you leave El Paso on I-10, it's going to take you to get to San Antonio a long time, and you're not going to get to Houston till almost way up in the next day. And to get over to Beaumont, Texas, when you start in Texas, you start in the desert, and when you finish up on I-10, you're in Beaumont, Texas. Beaumont, Texas is right on, right there is Lake Charles, Louisiana, and you go from the desert to swamps and alligators in one state. Yeah. You go through zipping up here, the weather's the same. The same here. You gotta go a long way. In fact, you can't go no distance on the East Coast that is longer than one state out there in the West. Those are huge states. California, those are big states. Even Arizona. Everything in the West is big. Big sky, they used to call it. Anyway, but whatever you look at, you're looking at fires. And last month and a half ago, the smoke from the fires in California, 3,000 miles away, was over D.C. and New York. Does anybody remember that? The haze, you remember that haze? That was from California. Now, a few years ago, when I would drive out there, if I'm on I-80 and I'm in Utah, well, you got Utah here, and then you got the state of Washington and what have you, and Oregon up here. Well, Washington's way up here, Oregon's up here. They would have fires burning in those states, and they would be covering I-80. I mean, this is smoke, like you could smoke from up there, burning down, coming down to you. We're in Utah, going across to San Francisco and Oakland, or wherever we're going. Reno, Nevada. That was then, several years ago. Now the smoke, the haze, when they light up out there, you light up over here. You have haze, and I'm saying that the things that are happening now is just like watching a horror show, or what is it they have, these movies, Tidal Wave, where it's a big tidal wave coming, and then you see the people on the beach like a bunch of dummies, and they hug each other, you know. Right? I mean, you've seen the advertisement. I never watched the movie, but I see enough of the advertisement to know what everybody watching. So they hug each other. And then here come the tidal waves, swoop them off. One movie that's going to wash them away here in Virginia, they got some hills around here, and they got the people, all the cars is parked, a guy on a motorcycle, he getting up to one of the mountains around here. And he's a young guy, so he makes it. Everybody else, most of them people get knocked over. Okay. If you take them tsunamis, you know, now, to you this may not be nothing. But when they had those tsunamis, the one that hit Sri Lanka and all of that, do you know, I used to run right down that thing, right. And I stayed in the Twin Towers. That's what they call it over there. It's not as high. It's maybe 22 nice hotels, 20 stories high or something. They call them the Twin Towers over there. And we raise money here, and we send it to the governor. We did programs, our masjid, with Governor Malana and all of that, because you can tell they're Muslims. He was the governor of that area. The Tamil terrorists, they used to call them, right? Well, the Tamils are a minority in Sri Lanka, and the Tamils are the ones that became Muslim. That's why they have so much trouble, and they always refer to them as, remember, the Tamil terrorists. Yeah, Tamil terrorists. Okay. Anyway, you get all this information floating around in your head, and all those tsunamis was wearing out people where we've been to, because we've been to Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan and all that stuff. We've been to all of those places. And so when they talk about on the news, the stuff they happened over there 15 years ago is heading this way. The tsunami, we was talking about, well, if it was a tsunami, must have been underwater, because the tidal wave, they'd have blown the horn and everybody would have got back. This stuff was coming under all new because of the dumb stuff these people are doing. Tsunamis come and wash niggas away. Hey, okay, right now. Well, they always have little hurricanes, little stuff like that down there. And little droughts and fires and floods. But they're having 100-year floods every year. And the last one down in the reason all this rain was here the other day, coming from down in Louisiana. They haven't had nothing like that since they was keeping records. They said we figure it was 1859 since something like the one down there. Just come up, just past all the intermittent rain. Remember, this part of the year, sometimes it goes a long time without raining in August. Those long summer, those dog days of August, as white folks call them. We getting it right, hey. So everything that you would read about in scriptures, everything you watch on the movies, everything you hear about, and all of that stuff is happening right now. It's happening right in front of us, and the people are doing the same thing that people did in those days. So,
They're always caught by surprise.
They're surprised, they're just shocked. Now imagine, okay, let's say if we're not successful, because everything we're talking about now, a lot of the stuff that we've been working on, we got enough sense to know that we could build 50 houses around here. It wouldn't make no difference because the flood is coming. And we've been accurate so far, right? So now what makes it, and then we're on the coast over there too. What difference do it make if we have 50 masajid, 200 masajid, or anything else, right? And we on both coasts. the East Coast and the West Coast. And if we was in Chicago, we'd be up by the lakes. If we was down in Louisiana, the wind would blow us away. I mean, you have to be very careful about where you move nowadays. Right, you have to think about it. Well, let's see now. California? Shoot, there ain't one out there. You really have to think about it. There are some places where you might be able to pull it off. Let me speed up here. Mass extinction, right now, today. I was listening to or watching Press TV. They were talking about it, and their news is very good and accurate, mostly. And it has to be because they watch, if they tell two lies, they're going to close it down. And because the white man is, that's not their rule. They can lie all day, which they do, of course. If they tell the truth, they use the opposite, they use the counter rules. If they tell 98 lies, it's fine. Great, we're freedom, justice, and newsworthy. If you tell two, terrorist news, we got to cover it, close it down, right? That's the way it is. You could turn the just up a little bit so. But anyway, let me get started on what I was talking about here. The point is, when you turn the TV on, that's all you see is destruction on one level everywhere that you look and everywhere you go. Is something being destroyed. And it's not here, it's Australia, it's everywhere you want to go. And then you mix in it these plagues. When people, if they're still around, read about this period in history, this is going to be advancement. They'll say they had all kind of brand new stuff, but they got washed away, or they got blown away, or they got, they was like Pompeii or something, the volcano exploded and that was it for them. This is the news. Every day, all day. And they still rolling right along, just like the people in the old days. That's what it means that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. In other words, the politicians today, what are they doing? Fiddling. We got a tornado coming over here. We got the flood over there, and we got the heat that's burning up everything over there. They imagine how dumb the world, if the world's still around, history is going to report on this Congress here in America. They're going to not believe it. It's just like when we read about the history, biblical history, and you got to be a believer to believe that stuff, right? You got to believe it because, the wind come and blowed everybody away. They was in their houses, and the wind was blowing the boys around. They were scared, right? It don't make sense. And what did they do? Nothing. They was just cheating people. Salih's people, they was just Thamud, Ad, all of them. Those really happened. People along the highway. We have all of those characteristics in modern society. Okay. So, if we look from history, we'll try to find some bright spot. That's what we're doing right now. So we have found that there was only one place, Nineveh. You know, Nineveh. That was a city of over 100,000 people. That was, in those days, you can imagine, that's big. And this got to be real big because people had big garden plots, and so it was 15 miles one way or more. So those people, we read about them and we hear about them. But that sounds like something that happened a long time ago, which it was. It was a long time ago for me and you. But in earth time, right? Might have been yesterday, a day before. Why? Remember, the earth, what they say, this part of the solar system has 9 billion. Yeah, 9 billion years. So this has been here 4.5 billion years, so it's halfway gone. You know, like if you were just looking at it physically, the sun is burning and consuming. In fact, the flames are so big on the sun that you could put 3 Earths inside of those. If the sun is burning here, you put Earth here, and Earth there. That's from the flames. That's why it's so hot here. And that's 93 million miles away. Can you imagine? The sun is 93 million miles away. Man, and it still gets hot here. It's a long way off. 93 million miles away. Traveling at the speed of light, it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for the light from the sun to reach here. That's why when the sun go down, it's still light coming, because you can see the sun go down, but it's still light coming. That light is just still coming from there. All right, okay. If the sun, say in a few billion years, starts to burn out, what's going to happen to the wonderful earth that we live on? That boy's going to freeze, right? And the millions and millions of years away, the first few million, it may be just like the ice age and stuff like that. So the fish find some warm spot in the ocean where they can survive. But after generations and generations, it would become a block of ice, the earth, right? Because the sun is burning out and it's not sending enough heat here, right? Anyway. But in the meantime, during our time, we happen to be alive at a crucial period in history that, let's call it the end of time for our era, because those old end of times were the time didn't end, they just had it bad, during that period. Okay. The rest of the world is roller skating around like this ain't no big deal. But we read in the scriptures, and look, if they say in management for white folks that if they're right 30% of the time, management, leadership, this is all in all the management books and all leadership manuals. If they're right 30% of the time, they're a top flight manager. If we was right 30% of the time, people would be rolling in the aisles laughing at that nigga said this, them niggas said that. Are they right? I would say that we're right over 95% of the time. Actually, it's more than that. But we just don't say that much because that would mean that it has serious meaning. But I would say if we was up to bat, we'd be batting 950 at least. Not 350 is good, huh? If you bat an average, that's astronomical. That means 3.5 times you come to bat in 10, you get the ball. You get on base. You just study our record. How accurate are we? So we're not trying to prove anything anymore. Where we're coming from is now we're making statements about what we're prepared to do. And you would look at it, you say, but nah, them niggas really got audacity. That's not audacity, right? It's all scriptural. There ain't no prophets coming after, And so we taking what they gave us and we're just going with it. And guess what? They were right in their time and we're right in our time. All we're doing is updating it, So like, that's why there's certain periods where, okay, when we did some of the things we did around here, that was important to, but the things that we did around here, all they did was watched, and when we had finished remodeling that place over there, all we had to do was knock down the wall inside, put little steps up, they'd be able to walk from there into there, and it's about going to fall down in a minute because we haven't even opened the door in years, and water coming to the top, but it was fine then. As soon as we was 98% finished, whoop, divorce come, everybody move. That's what we put it there, because his family is bigger, it's happening. Whoop, pop up and move. Because the people came here to do a certain thing, and they was accepted here, and they da-da-da-da-da-da, and when it's time to move, they're gone. All the believers and brothers that was here, go find them and find out, well, what happened? Did something happen over there? No, I just don't like this. I don't like that. But ain't nothing happened to nobody, right? They could see, couldn't have been girls, couldn't have been money, because they could see one thing about here, you can see where your money goes, right? And then everything that we built, when we built that place back there, that studio, soon as we finished, gotta go. We put a little gym back there. We have a little gym that's for the brothers. We figured out a little schedule. Now, that was kind of planned because the person that would be leading the physical fitness program had a certain characteristic, and that's no problem. But if you want to mention out of shape, and our head of security would have to be the most out of shape person in the United States. No doubt about it. It reminds you of in The Imitation of Life, there was a scene where there was a fat man laying on the beach with his stomach sticking up, and the guy, his first job, Steve, his first job, he took a picture of that beer can on the fat man's stomach, and they turned it into a commercial. That's what anyway. That's the same. They could have took that picture on, and it was so hilarious because, I'm fixing to go run as soon as I had dinner. and stuff like that. And if we working out there, the people would come and they say, yeah, I'm gonna get with y'all as soon as I get to have a little breakfast and stuff like that. There's one thing that never happened. This is the head of security. Never, I'll put it like this, that I can remember, did any physical fitness. None. Did you ever see any? None. And people was pulling me over saying, man, we got physical fitness little crew around here. Man, you can't have him as, of course, you keep watching, you'll find out that him and that guy is pretty good friends. But everybody playing games, there's no problem. No problem. See, why we don't have no problem? None. Because we expect a flood to come through here sooner or later. We expect hurricanes. We expect, if we don't do if we right here don't lead a charge for the whole United States of America, right, to come to their senses. So far, ain't nobody doing it. This is what we're saying. Somebody have to mobilize the movie stars. They already ready to go. You know what I mean? You could tell the way the movie stars, the way they talk about different things. They wasn't rich people. They was all like us, kind of poor, and they know that that's make-believe out there. And that's why they all got psychiatrists. I look at some of the stars on the little thing, and it don't make no difference which one it is. All of them have, go through them changes of make-believe. That you're supposed to be the star, Ben Affleck. Affleckis? That's why he's an Arab, because that's his name. Affleck. We used to call the members of the what's the name party in Iraq Affleckis, from Michel Affleck, who created that party. And you don't have to know. You can't go telling everybody, well, Ben, that boy is Arab, or some of the sisters is Arab. You can't go tell them, well, that boy is Arab, but you already know he's a Christian Arab. You know what I mean? You already know. But there's a lot of things we're going to pick up on and we're going to know, but we're in a different dispensation now. We have to try to do something about this. And it feels right. It feels the same way that things felt like in those days. You're talking to people and they looking at you like, solid, telling the people you gotta do right, you gotta have right weights and measures, man. Y'all gotta slow down on that. And they done told him, the commentary says, Maulana Maududi says, that his people, well, it says it in the Quran too. If we paid attention to what you're saying, we would go broke. They wouldn't go broke, but they just, from their understanding, man, if we gave people if they bought a pound of fruit, dates, and we gave them a whole pound without shading it a little bit, if we didn't shave our thing, we would be broke, and crazy. The people tell us and they act out the same thing with the message we're giving them, it's not a new message. The message coming from here have been almost verbatim the same for 25 years, right? It's been the same message. Over on 8th Street, floods of biblical proportions. That's where we started at. They was having them then. Now they getting Quranic proportions. You know what I mean? In other words, we've been prepared for this, and actually we've been living, our life have been centered around our experience. And our experience kind of goes a little bit like this. That right now, in the last period, we just kind of cruising and taking it easy. And we're just watching and doing what we do. But we wasn't breaking no sweat. None. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying that stuff they do in California, stuff they do with property. The physical assaults, they wanted us to respond to them. We knew that's what they wanted to do. That's why we didn't do it. And that's what that on the video, when I'm talking to my sons, on that video, and I'm telling them basically to stand down. And I'm telling them, don't you see what niggas, they get niggas to fight all the time, right? All over the country, and guess where else? All over the world. So if we would have responded to what the government is doing, the government is telling the people, the Negroes, what to do. They're visible government agents. So if we followed that, the government would be controlling us. Right? Yeah, we have sayings about what it means. So the reason that we have done and are doing what we do is because we have semi-adjusted to the time or the era in which we're living. And that's why there's a level of accuracy that's unbelievable. It ain't that nobody got no sense. It's just simply just pulling out the stuff and reading it and having a little experience. That's what it means. So right now, where are we at? So we've heard about mass extinctions. The tidal wave seems to be headed this way. There was one out for humanity, and that was Nineveh. Right? Now you remember the prophet of those times, when he was told to go to Nineveh, when he looked at the history and what they was doing, now this is in his humans, he's a human being. Instead of going to Babylon, he headed for Spain. That's back over the other way. He headed the other way. That's why the problem on the ship, and that's why everybody calling out to their gods, and he ain't doing nothing. They said, they got suspects. This nigga here is the one. Let's dump him overboard. He's the problem. All of this, which they wasn't technically on that, he jinxed the ship. Okay? So, he's the one that was thrown overboard. So this is a story and it's a reality. He come to himself and he went on back to where he was supposed to go, and that's the only dispensation that was saved during that the only one, right? Everybody else had what they got coming, but it don't say saved permanently for a time. And it was a big joint. So that teaches us something about our attitude. We can't have an attitude like, well, we can if we want to, if you just want to be that bad. Them niggas won't listen. Them dumb white folks won't listen. Those people are so dumb. They got scientists saying that it's a situation. They got the climatologists. They got all this stuff, and it's like that. You push any button, and it comes out the same. And if they too dumb, F them people, man. That's what anybody normal would say. We don't say that. No. We don't say that because we have, so what? You're outnumbered. So what if what we are an endeavor to do sounds crazy? They're crazy. Look, they ain't saying nothing. The people sitting there all this week, last week, and here come the water, right? All in Jersey, everywhere, right? You can see it on TV. They just sitting there because they don't expect nothing to come. But all that stuff from way down there blowed right up here. Now, I do in a thankful spirit because it blew right past here. You know, if you've been watching the local news, they had floods right around here, people getting killed right around. I mean, you can throw a rock to the places right around here. And I'll be doggone. Look outside, ain't nothing blowed down. I mean, stuff close by. I run in the hills a few blocks over there, and the trees, the wind and snapped them. I mean, I couldn't run my regular trails till the other day. You know why? Because the wind and come through hurricane type and then brought them down. We ain't felt nothing here. We just sitting around them. Right over there, you could throw a rock over there. Big trees. And it ain't one. It's tree here, tree there. And I go up, I say, well, I'll just go up here and then run down. I go up there, and there's the trees. I said, man, if that wind would have came here, it'd have tore the roof off right here. Right? I'm telling you. So, I mean, it's a misnomer if you think that just we sitting here at the Masjid. Everybody else, I'm starting to think that we're getting a little protection. I don't know. Something was going on, right? It's drowning and blowing everybody away, right? And talking about trees, we got trees all around them, and they all fall on us. Hey, man, I'm not going to get jinxy, but I'm telling you, something is going on. Ain't nobody moving. Ain't nobody running up and down the street said, okay, we got to fix this. Congress, what do they say? Absolutely nothing. They got one dumb scheme after another. The state congressional people, the federal, all of them. They've gone, we're not crazy, they're crazy.
It almost seemed like with that whole Texas abortion ban that they timed that to kind of distract from Hurricane Ida and its aftermath.
And they're not going to stop. Look, you're not going to stop people from having abortions now. They got New Mexico right across the street. They got Oklahoma. Maybe not Oklahoma. But they're going to get, well, Louisiana's next door. They got a lot of Negroes there. They got a lot. And all these Negroes talking about no abortions. I don't want to change the subject. Look at the population. When I came to D.C., biggest thing was babies having babies. Remember that era? Girls 12, 13, 14 having billions. When you stood on the street, it would be 500 people going up and down the street with baby carriages. That's all you saw. Now you can't find. You have to wait there 2 hours before someone comes along holding a baby. You go to the store. Maybe it's only old people over here or something, but I don't see no more black babies. Y'all had one, few more people, that's it. Tell the truth. And they going to get a drink to the Latinos soon because they still, whatever it is, they haven't drank it. One in the tummy, one on this side, one on that side, and they be rolling. And the girl is 17 years old. That's in California. And then I realized, I said, yeah, in 2000, we was equal, so-called equal, 39 million apiece. Now they done double up on us in less than 10 years. Of course they would. If we're not having no children, and they having all, they doubling up. All of that adds up to, we'll get back to the subject, that adds up to population shifts. White folks call it the browning of America. Yeah, it's browning. Because the white folks they having less children than we are. Yep. And the Mexicans deserve it. They stole most of the West Coast, all of it, from Mexico. Reconquista, they call it, the reconquest. And they mean it too. They ain't just started talking this year. It's been the last 30, 40 years. Reconquista, the reconquest. I said, well, look like y'all on a roll. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, everything. I'm with you. Okay, now back to, our personal survival is proof of certain things. It's proof of a certain type of discipline, certain type of self-control, and technically you can't become a champion by claiming the title. You got to get in some tussles. We got Negro blabbermouths all over the United States, the most famous blabbermouths. And they don't say nothing. So what we're saying is, we claiming the title. The thing about the title that we claiming, nobody wants that title. The title to challenge boss man, out in the open in front of everybody, you and me, boss man. Don't nobody want that challenge. Nobody wants it. Nobody's taking it. So it's almost a free title. All you got to do is go out and make the challenge, and you the champ. We are the champions of this. It's our job. It's our job to do this period, and it is a big one. Are we qualified to do it? Yeah, because it's a job of managing all the resources of America. America first, and then the world. And then you got to remember, it's a gift from Allah. Why is it a gift? It's a gift because people around the world actually like Negroes. And they sympathize with us too. And that's not only darkies down the way, but it's white folks up in Europe. Scandinavia, Denmark, Sweden. It's not as good as it used to be. But Negroes from here in the 50s and the 60s, them Negroes on their military bases in Germany, all they had to do was catch the train up to Denmark. And white girls, if you looked in their library, they had every black book you ever seen. When I was there, I said, something, it was not like it's funny, but I was at one spot. It was white girls and Eskimos. There's Eskimos up there in Denmark. We call them Eskimos. They call them something. So Bessie Smith is way back in, but it was a white girl sitting there, and it was just, and it was a lot of us there. They playing Baby Doll. Baby Doll is one of the old, Bessie Smiths from back in the 20s. And this white girl got a doll of a monkey, and she's just stroking it. I said, this is a trip here. I mean, I understand that they like niggas in those days. They don't like them now. They're the government. They had a nigga named Monkey Man. I don't want to change the subject, but people want to make problems for us. The Negro could go to Denmark, and they actually are pretty good-looking white folks. They are good-looking white folks. The Danish used to be Vikings, stuff like that. They ain't like that now. They nice, easy-going white folks. They wear wooden shoes, all that stuff. Well, they used to. I ain't been there in 50 years, so it's been a while. But they loved black folks. The biggest fundraiser for Angela Davis I went to was in Copenhagen. Cuban House. Her sister, Angela Davis' sister, was there in about 71 or something like that. And she raised a ton of money. Here's the point. And I heard it from old soldiers that had been in the army in the 50s and everything. Those white people loved black people. And you know where discos come from? It didn't come from here. It came from over there. They would play black music. See, we didn't have, every nightclub over here had black entertainers. Right, in the 60s and the 70s, we had, if you had James Brown, you had James Brown Jr., 4 or 5, and they was like James Brown. They had his hair like, and if they had the Temptations in Oakland, we had the Ballads, we had other people that, in our nightclubs, they were second string. They was, if you couldn't get the Temptations there that night, that's fine. That's fine. The Ballads will do. That was the way. Our entertainment, we didn't use no disco stuff here because we had live entertainment. The Europeans didn't have it. That's why in their joints, that's where disco come from. They had to play music, our music. And they loved our music from way back. You got to remember, I don't care whether it's Josephine Baker, a Negro Baker, whether the black folks over here, when they wanted to get a little air, in those days, they had to go to France or Scandinavia. Now, France is colonial. But the Negroes had helped the French in World War I. And the Negroes had all their medals hanging off of them. So for Negroes going over there, and they could be around white folks, and the white folks was happy to see them, and it wasn't nothing. France had lost a whole generation. So all the young men, the soldiers was there, and they said, boy, this is something else. That's why the white folks had a song, but it was for niggas. How you gonna keep them down on the farm after they seen Paris? That was a famous song from those. How you gonna keep them down on the farm? How you gonna keep them niggas down on the farm? They was pretending like it was for white folk. It wasn't for white. No. How you gonna keep them niggas in Mississippi, in Alabama? And they've been over there. They've been over there, right? And the white folks then treated them over there like saviors, like normal people. You know, you go to a place, they just run in to catch you. That's the way it was in Denmark. In Copenhagen, when I first got there, I was coming from Africa, and I got there, and the white woman was chasing me. One white woman would bet the other white woman, nice looking white lady, I bet you I can catch him. I didn't know. She told me that after she caught me, of course. Say, no, I mean she was betting. You know, like you said, me and you there in the club. You said, man, I bet you I can knock that child over there, right? Man, you ain't gonna get to first base. Then I have to pay up. So I wasn't even off the plane. I just happened to walk in the club, and I was where all the niggas go. And I said, man, what are they doing here? They used to, let me tell you how they lived up there. They used to take a bowl, because they'd pass the bowl around. You have a bowl, regular soup bowl, put tinfoil on the top of it, punch a few holes in it. They put hash on this side, and what's the name? And of course, everything I knew, it was all illegal. It says, it ain't illegal here. It was in all of the places up there in Northern Europe, in Amsterdam and Holland. They liked niggas. The music they listened to was nigga music. No, they didn't listen to the white folks' music. You'd have to be a strange white folks. Maybe in England they listened to a couple of Beatles or something, you know, but everybody else, they loved jazz. The blues. You talking about that old, I think I had 3 friends in LA, 2 friends, both of them women. And we was friends. I might have showed y'all some pictures. We was the only ones. We almost had to sneak and listen to that old country blues, Lightning Hopkins, Jimmy Reed, Howlin' Wolf. No people our age listened to it. And we liked it. I had 2 girlfriends, not sexual friends, but that's what we would do. When I'd go down to LA, we'd hang out, and that's all we listened to, because you couldn't listen to it if you brought that stuff out. The Temptations and all that is moving, and you bring out that old country blues. One of my friends is a lady. She went to a program with, not Howlin' Wolf, but I'll tell you his name in a minute. She say, it was nobody, only people there was white folks. Well, that's for a long time. It's been happening like that, you know. In other words, the culture we leave behind, they pick it up because they see more in it than, you know, than what we do. And that's with everything. I'm telling you, if we get enough Negroes right here, ready to do right, the white folks will be happy to go along with the program, whether they told to or not. How many was it, the white folks right there? All of them wasn't the police that went to all them demonstrations. Now all the niggas was the black people. What I mean is, you can tell how if we was out there filming, they wouldn't come to us and ask nothing, because they already done been tipped off. But they put the word out, and the white folks came like it's a happening. Like, this is what's happening. Okay, so if they were to ask about racism in America, I would say institutional racism, but not human-to-human racism. The other thing is racism. What are you going to do? What's the largest class of people that are being born right now today and been in mixed race? Have you seen the color of Negroes? Okay, think I'm lying? Look at some of the old pictures of black people in slavery during Lincoln's time. We were tar babies, black, 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 right? Look at niggas now. You can't find one. The lady thought I'm going to go on and tell it. I was at Starbucks over there. I probably told y'all before, so I was going in, and it was a lady on a computer in her car, and I looked, and I said, I walked up to her. I said, "Sister, I'm not hitting on you. I'm just telling you, you're the beautifulest person and the blackest." She was black. You know that blue black they have? Blue black. I say, and I was talking to her like a historian. I was saying a long time ago, it was a lot of people like you. We always called them blue. Right? In a neighborhood, even when you was young, somebody was called blue, right? Black, there's nothing darker than black but blue. Blue is darker, at least on its own niggas. And I told her, and she was so beautiful, it's a shame. I said, I told her, 'cause, you know, I didn't say I'm a Muslim and I can't hit on girls or nothing. But I just told her. She looked at me and she was surprised, shocked, and kind of, at first, is this nigga making fun of me or is, and then she realized he's real. He actually, because I'm saying, hey, when I was young, it was a lot of people like you in our neighborhood. And da 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 da. And she was definitely not uncomfortable, but you know, when you know, this is really something. This is really happening. And I told her, I said, no, because see, women that black, they either going to get a lot of attention or none at all. You know what I mean? Because she just was evidently, anyway, now that's what we up against. We up against a world that have visions of who we are. Okay? I done told y'all about some of the trips I would take when I was in Colombia. I'm working out, and Mr. Colombia comes over and shakes my hand, and I do it just a regular handshake. No, Shaft didn't do it like that. So Shaft didn't do it like that. And I was saying to myself, all that old wiggly round stuff that niggas do, they used to do in those days, the Vietnam people. I said, man, so he was actually, you know, saying that that's not real colored stuff, what you just did. You're not really black. So, man, you must be crazy. And then they went on to, after there was a few of them there, and I was right in the middle of my workout, would you sing us a little song? So I didn't tell them that I was a dope dealer, because they already knew. What else reason I was going to be in Bogota, Colombia for all that time? And, you know, I ain't got no job, you know. So I kind of let them know that I'm kind of like a gangster, you know what I mean? That's kind of what I do. And I don't sing. You know, in fact, I don't dance even at parties. I don't do no. So the squares be out there dancing, you know, squares. People went to school and stuff. I say gangsters don't, you know, they sit back, get a spot, and they just be, you know, talking or what have you. Right? But you don't see no real gangster type Negroes out there dancing. At least not in the old days. You know. The squares, the common people, they danced. That's the niggas out there dancing. Anyway, so I'm gonna get back to our mission and what we. Nobody wanted this title, and that's fine. So we're claiming a title, and we want to live up to it. We have to harness the ability of our people, not our people, the people. We don't have to repeat this over and over, but the people are being misled so bad, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And it ain't no big deal. My belief is this: we got to get busy right now. The period that we did before, where we was kind of taking it easy, my belief is that was a rest period before this serious work period. We have to harmonize literally every group of people in the United States. We have to harmonize the movie stars and the movie producers to make movies about the new people that we want to see existing in this time. Problem solvers. We want them to make movies about what's happening now, but the problem is solved. It'll be the same like when we was kids. Every Saturday they had little shows at the movie, so you go there, and it was the same. Whatever the bad guys was, they did this, they did that, and then at the end it was a big chase, and everybody, remember those days? You might remember a corner of that. Everybody riding. Every one of them was like that. So every movie was basically the same. We have to, and this is all possible. It's just that there's no focused element to harmonize all of those people. That's why we're mentioning governmental cooperation. If not cooperation, just spin a few tops and go about your business. Because we don't believe it's enough time to go through all of these steps to get to where we need to go. Because it don't seem like it's that much time left. Because if you look at the way things are accelerating, and remember, going downhill, acceleration picks up. That's why the police is never at the top of the hill on the highway. Always down at the bottom of the hill. Because it's going to pick up speed, the weight, the momentum. Okay. So we have to harmonize our activity with the people who are making movies. All of them. We have to convince as many as we can. We have to talk to them about their power and their ability, and I believe most of them would be happy to do it. Because when you see these movie stars now, they're talking about these subjects, Or they might say, I really like that Michael Moore, da-da-da-da-da, and then they go to something else. But they're letting you know that, and then remember, most of the people in Hollywood, one thing they've had a chance is to live the fantasy and every one of them got a psychiatrist. Every one of them is half crazy, right? And they want to get back to reality. And one thing that they know is real, they out there in California, you know, all those fires, you know where all them people live? Right in the foothills all around Hollywood and everywhere. You know what those are? In the winter, the bush and everything grows because of the rain. And in the long summer, they dry up. That's why they have all of them. They dry up and they burn up everything in the region. Okay. So also they've experienced everything that people think is beautiful. They've experienced it. They are all relatively good-looking people. Like, they wouldn't be in Hollywood, right? So they already have that. They already have wealth beyond and they all came from amongst us. You got to remember, none of these stars were born rich. They all had to wash dishes and go to acting school. You know what I mean? And that's why you see the amount of stars that are associated with what we're talking about. It just haven't been harmonized. We have to harmonize them or get in the position to give them a mission. Their mission to make more movies about this, but showing people building groups, organization, and solving the problem. It would be exactly the opposite of all the cowboys riding on them horses. Every scene, every thing would be that all the problems are solved. You see what I mean? And people get used to seeing that over and over again, right? And they know the effect that Hollywood has on people, but they know it's not real. That's why they all get married 4 or 5 times. The reason I mentioned Ben Affleck, he was drinking alcohol and went crazy, got lucky his wife helped him come along. It's not him. I don't care whether the one that don't like Jews, Mel Gibson, well, he don't say it. But he come back with a big beard and he's repentant, you know. And they mention that he's on Colbert's show. They don't mention what he did and what he said, but he's the one that made Hacksaw Ridge. Mel Gibson. He didn't play in it, but he made it. Right? Yeah. Oh, the passion. Oh, look. Oh my goodness. Did y'all see the Passion of Christ? That was, look, that if you talking about went overboard, they went overboard by 10. They beat that poor man. I said, oh, they beat him and they beat him. And I said, my goodness, why don't they move the scene to somewhere else? Right? I mean, the 14 steps of Christ, he wouldn't have made the first, he wouldn't have made it to number 2 because they just, remember they would beat him over and over. I said, oh man. But that was Mel Gibson. He made that and they kind of blamed it on some people. And they let him have a little comeback. And they all knew what they was talking about because they wouldn't say that you had a problem with the Jews. And he's a Catholic. Remember, Catholics, they Christ killers and all of that. Man, the Inquisition and all that, LC, all them was the Catholics, man. And Masjid, mosquito, because they said we're swatting all them out of all that right now you go to it, it's called Mesquita. That's what a masjid is called in Spanish, Mesquita, from mosquito. We swatting them all out, and they swatted them out too. Okay, anyway, so there's a certain amount of how we play this. Actually, what we're going to talk about Tuesday is exactly how we're going to play this, because we're going to set up basically not only what we're going to talk about, but what we're technically into for now, you know. But it's resources. We got a lot of resources out there. All we have to do is go get them. That's our job. The people out there, they're not against us. And the government is on our side. The government is helping us. Remember, everything the government do is another feather in our cap. Not that that's what I mean is the government is cooperating with destroying itself. And you can't take them downhill faster than they're going. Right? You and I could not produce Afghanistan, where they have a war over there for 20 years, spent $2 trillion, that's what they say, maybe it was 2010 something. They spend a lot of money. And then when they leave helicopters. They had some thing about how much they left everything behind which you could equip 2 more armies. They left helicopters. They left planes that they can't even fly. You know what I mean? And they left all of that behind for them people, for their homeboys. So in the world that we're living in, we have to explain to all the people what's going on here with America and what we can do. We'll deal with China and those other places. Here's what it is. America cannot be number one in economy and all that stuff. It's finished. But we got to sell them on being number one in fixing the world. Yeah, you can be number one. It's your time. Your time has come. We have to give America a new mission. Simple as that. Niggas. Yeah. Yeah. We got to sell the people. Now, you're not going to get Bezos and Gates now. Because they got all the money, right? And they're getting more money. Them guys done bought up America. Do you see how much America they own? All them big farms and everything. So they're making it worse on themselves. Remember, it's going to come to somebody that if we get rid of 10 people at the top, we'll be able to get our whole country back. Not that we're suggesting anything like that, but you got to think about it like this. America, they can't be psychologically, they can't be number one with Belt and Road, with China making its moves. Now, we don't have time to mess with China. If China gets straight, that's good. If they keep going, they'll be on the list next time or soon. Because if you do certain things, you're going to take yourself out. It don't, that's the way it go. Okay, now, you look at America. That was a time in America when you could do anything you wanted. You was a white American, and it'd keep going up. You could kill all the Indians. Many as you could shoot, you could kill them. They used to send trains out and the people would sit on trains with them Sharps rifle and shoot buffalo. That was a sport. And they had buffalo hides, buffalo robes, buffalo, all that stuff. They in England and everywhere. They set the style. They made a style, so everything came from the buffalo. Now, why they want to kill all the buffalo? Because the buffalo that was Wonka Tonka Jr. In other words, they worshipped the buffalo. They built their houses out of buffalo hides. They ate the buffalo, and the buffalo gave them freedom. There's buffalo all over the plains, right? So they killed all the food. They did. It was 6 million buffaloes in America. Good God Almighty. Probably was more. That's what they said. So they immobilized them. The next thing you hear, Indians is on reservations, right? Drinking that cough syrup with heroin, stuff like that. Anyway, let's speed up here. So with the resources that's here in America, we have to refocus the mind of the people not on consumption, but minimalism. Not on maximum consumption, but on consuming as little as you can, leaving a small imprint as you can in the earth, right? Okay. Also, on recovery, if they see themselves rebuilding and recovering, this is what we do. We'll put the manifest destiny in reverse, right? We have to give the Americans a whole new vision. And guess what? They're waiting for it. They're sitting out there waiting. They want, think about it. The modern young people, they're having most of the demonstrations. About what? About college debt and about all of that stuff, right? So they're already, the people in their 20s and younger and even a little older, they are psychologically and emotionally prepared for this. They see the Congress and all of that. They see it as a fossil and it does not work and they're not talking to them, right? And all the things that they do, they say, that why would you want to just kill somebody because they're black, right? Now you got a small percentage of people who are still into that, but the people that we have seen and we see all over, they're not for that. The only people we got to keep an eye on is people trying to make trouble, Antifa, all of them white folks organizations that they made to cause trouble. I'm telling you, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about looking at the opportunities that exist. We're not sad and it can't happen and all, right? We look at the world different. We look at our advantages and instead of our disadvantages. We can pull this off. And you got to realize that the world is with us. And the other thing is, mean old Sam and Israel, all the bad guys are playing that part. Look at the Israelis, what they're doing. They all these supersonic stuff, and they just shoot and beat Palestinians, and everybody know they stole the land from them, right? They're together, the U.S. is together, and they're going to go out together. And remember, the teams, you have to give credit to our team. if our team is Yemen, Syria, right? If our team is Iraq, if our team is Iran, if our team are all of those people that we've been talking about, can you imagine the fitna that they have absorbed and they cruising right along? It's unbelievable. That's why I want to go to I've always wanted to go, and every time you've seen me speaking in Iran, or even I get a chance to talk to them, I'm always hit them first. What y'all did a great job. You don't understand how great it is. Then I go into the talk. That's why I don't get to talk there anymore. Because I jump right into that. I say that before I go into what, and the only reason I would get to say it is because I said it and they got me piped in. But you see, after 2 or 3 rounds, they don't pipe me in anymore, and I can't get any. But just like we had the letter come years ago that the new crew is in, and they that's it. That's it for us, right? For a while. But it didn't happen like that. They did the dirt they did, and they messed up their own slate. They blew their own slate so bad that Zarif is giving talks here and there, and they don't think nobody's recording, right? And you got to remember, see, out of them, they got, when we had all our programs, we knew that it was Savaki agents. They knew, the students knew, that amongst them, there are Savak agents, right? And they had a feeling, they knew when they went home, a lot of people didn't trust them because they had been here in America, which was right. But the ones that was real, they hung in, and a lot of our brothers that we know, they've been hanging in there for 40 years. They might have little different teams that they own, but most of our brothers are intact. That means that we're in a different position. When I'm talking about all of these people, strategic alliance and all of that, other people are paying attention to it. Boss man is too. But you look at the strategic alliance. Can you imagine what's happening to Yemen, and they haven't broke? They haven't broke. We look like a miracle here. Man, man. No, it's not compared to what our people is dealing with. We got it good. Little harassment, boss man, don't let the car work. Boss man, steal your food. Boss man, have everybody whispering on you. That ain't nothing, right? Or you wanted to do this, that, and other, and establish a great system of Masjid and centers, Well, to tell you the truth, that might have been a diversion. You never know. Because this stuff has not been no surprise for the last 40 years. Actually, it's 50. So all of what we was doing, I'll give you a quick history and you'll see. People used to beg me, you got to get rid of, of course they was friends, you got to get rid of Abdul Jalil, right? Man, I said, no. For over a decade, just kept him out, a nice guy, just stay here. I mean, it was ridiculous. He would come out there, oh, y'all working out. I'll be right back as soon as I have a lunch and dinner and a sandwich and a sleep. I'm going to come out here and work out with y'all. That's what he meant to. And he was head of security. When we formed up teams, people, he never did not one of anything like that. None. Well, why we didn't change him? Because it's okay, right? I'm trying to tell you, what we're talking about now, it may seem we've been knowing where we are and what we're dealing with for decades and decades and decades. But in a protracted struggle, you got to act, you're not afraid so you can live a long time, but you are aware of what you're doing and you have an alternate awareness of the environmental things you're dealing with. And you're able to deal with boss man like it ain't no big thing. Right now, here we are. I'm relatively certain that everybody would halfway agree. We now don't have time to trick boss man, wait for him to stumble and laugh at him. And we don't have time for that. We just don't have time. Now it's time to fix this. That's what we'll be presenting in a day or so. We have to, because during this dispensation, from where we are in the United States of America, if we can help things start in the right way here, we can affect the world from right where we are now. And whatever we do, the world is going to need us. You got to remember, I'm trying to tell you, I don't care whether it's economy. The dollar got to tank pretty soon. So whether it's the Russians and the Chinese or mixtures of people, the Russians sell everything it sells and all its oil and other currencies now. It don't sell. It hasn't been selling nothing in the U.S. currency and I don't know when. Because if you deal in U.S. currency, they can sanction you and everything, right? Okay, and people saying that's enough of that. So actually, we would, on the surface, people would think we're in a bad situation, and it's not true. We're in a good situation, and we want to make the best of it. Okay. So Tuesday, we want to outline our future, a new prosperity management, a new type of leadership, goal setting, and goals that fit with the time in which we're living. We're not going to sit around and say we're boss man and just messed everything up, so we're going to retire. Right? We believe that that's been the mission all the time. That just before boss man F up everything, he's in a hurry, right? Look, he in a hurry, man. He's on a schedule. We got to bump. This is insanity on all levels. All the studies show, well, we got something extinction of animals and plants. And he ain't paying no attention to that. He got a crew in Congress that's saying them is lies. You know. Lies, lies, lies. Okay. That's all right. This is not arrogance, what I just got right here. We can handle it. No. Look, it's always in every period, it's always been a group or a crew or somebody that they come out of the shadows and they say, here we are. So you think we ever got mad if people don't put this stuff on? No, hell no, it's good. If they'd put it all on, somebody might have listened and it would have been different than it is now. Right? We got all the stuff. I think most of it is probably works. If it ain't, hell, we got enough to make it work. I'm trying to say, technically, we're in right where we wanted to be. That's where we are now. That's where we want to be. And we have moved because why we go back to California when we get ready? We got property out there, all kind of that we own. Why we don't go out there and deal with it is because we dealing with. We will not allow the system to manage our behavior, to manipulate us and throw us off the trail. No. Staying focused is one of the main things. And just think about it. Everybody is here and everybody wants what we're talking about. All the students hate student loans. And who want to borrow something? You borrow $2 and you can't never pay it back and you working for it. Don't be in middle school where you owe $200,000-$300,000. Good God Almighty, you know. And my kids was telling me, because they on the poverty program stuff. I said, one thing, never borrow nothing. Well, we should borrow something to get our credit up. I said, if you're a dummy, go ahead and borrow something. Borrow something. Go ahead. I done already told you. Never borrow no money. Because you have to pay it back. Other than that, get one of them Jeb Bush loans. Not one of the Bush, there was a cartoon. They said, we want to get one of them so-and-so Bush loans. There's a cartoon. The ones that you don't have to pay back. Anyway. Salvation earthwise. All in its infant stages. Yeah, everything is in its infant stages right now. But this is the opportunity to play in the big leagues. Because niggas never played in the big leagues before. I mean, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. The niggas play in the big leagues in football, baseball, and all that, but that don't really run nothing. Right? Yeah, okay. All right. That's why when they started blaxploitation movies, they was always robbing or pimping, right? Can you imagine? With the rebellion going on, they're going to show us all trying to pimp. And guess what? They diverted us away. They were successful, right? All them nickel and dime. People were so happy to see we saved the movie industry because, right, the only people going to movie at that time was black people, and they was blaxploitation. Huh?
I didn't even know the Negro saved Hollywood.
Yes, so y'all say, hey, shh. I never saw it, but it.
I'll probably search around for it. I'm gonna try to find it.
Hey, man, but we'd never look at the movies when they have too strong a black character. Long time ago, they had something called a hawk for about 2 or 3 things. And in those days, he was too strong a character. So they got him off because whatever he's doing, I technically never saw it. I saw the advertisement and my friends all saw it, but I wasn't heavily watching TV at that time. That was, I think, in the 80s. I'm trying to tell you, they misled and manipulated, and they got everybody that have a certain picture of us, right? Now, that's why some people have an accurate picture. The Saudis don't have an accurate picture, but some of the Iranians and a few more people have an accurate picture of who we are. But we have to arrive on the scene because for the last 20 or 30 years, the people they've been, even the Shias, been integrating are all the police. Why do you think I don't go anywhere anymore? Because it's too clear. And everybody I'm not going to say everybody, that's not right. But if they got Hashim them and they got all them other people, that's who they got. They got the police. I knew it the day I saw him. Hashim was wrapped in a red flag, hollering about Imam Hussein at UC Berkeley. I said, that is a government person. It is too clear. Anyway, that's all right. Through this process, we can let the government know that the Zionists been holding them back and been controlling them and controlling their activity. Okay? So we always talk about America the good. Well, that's what we want to mobilize for. Now imagine, basically what we're doing is trying to organize a good picture that Americans would want to strive toward. And we can pull that off, right? If we can get so many people involved, we can get this involved, then you could imagine Americans would like to see a better world. They don't see themselves like that now. Or they don't see, they want to do it, but we have to give them a new mission. That's what we have to do. We give America a whole new mission. That's why we always talked about all of that. It's been the same all the time. That's why we can't be pushed by hatred or evil or getting back at anybody. That taskiya bil nafs means that we have to purify, and you can see that was the goal. We're going to whoop that nigga upside the head. We're going to make him mean. You know, like they have a dog. My partner used to train dogs. So you have one guy messing with the dog, and he holding him back. And of course, feed him gunpowder. And the dog can't get at the nigga. He ain't gonna bite his master, but they making him mad. They teasing him. That's how you train them dogs to be mean. And the niggas be teasing the dog. And that's what they was trying to do with us. Train us to be mean and mad. Right? No, no, no. Absolutely not. And to be mad at who? Negroes. They don't send white folks to do you no harm. They send Negroes. Everybody that was here was Negroes. They just packed up and left. Well, where are you going? Hell, it don't make no difference. We gone. Is there any reason? Right? Gone. No reason at all. All right? They want to make you mad or feel lonely or feel insignificant when all the time they're playing into the playbook of life. They're playing right into everything that's been, all they're doing is just what's been written down. That's what they're going to do. That's why it's not a problem. Okay, I'll try to, so this superpower status stuff, do you know that the people have the ability to lead themselves, to manage themselves, to solve all of these petty problems, and then the government is helping. Usually when people have big tragedies that make them hold on to stuff by themselves, just for my family, right? Scare them. That's why we look at this period like they're producing an opposite. See, everybody now, it's no big middle class, right? And now there's so many, it's so many grapes of wrath, people, that it's unbelievable. Anybody see grapes of wrath? Man, it's 30% of the people that's grapes of wrath. It's 30%. You haven't, huh? Huh?
They're actually migrating like that too now because of the climate.
Good God Almighty. Okay. If we don't do this, we would be stupid. If we can't manipulate the situation that the shaitan, the government, and the Zionists have provided for us, then we should turn in our management credentials. They didn't set it up for us. Tell the truth. All we got to do is that's why I always talked about longevity. Longevity, not, if you saw the way I talked to the police, you would realize this nigga here, he definitely ain't trying to stay here long, but I would do something. And my family can tell you. First, I would wait to make sure they done called in and they got everything on the thing. Then I start into my thing. Because I'm not going to get into an accident, the police accidentally stop me, accidentally don't know what's going on, and I do what I do, well, he just shoot. I'm a nigga, you know. Why I ain't been shot and I act up almost all the time is because I got the letter and the counter and I'm waiting. Okay, he got the message. Now I can get out of my yard. What you doing here? This is not town. Dad, take it easy, because they don't know what I'm doing. Please be just, Dad, they going, I ain't gonna do nothing. I got it covered. Right? I'm trying to tell you, this may sound funny, but everything we have right now, we've helped manage to get it here, and we're happy to be where we are. We're happy to be where we are. It's okay. At this time, what are you going to do if the police has got everything is blocked off, everything is his? You got to use some intellect. And boss man don't know you got no sense till you tell him. You said, boss man, I tell you, boy, you blew it on this. You almost got to line it up. You blew it here, you blew it there, you blew it there. But here's what we're working on. It has to be a cooperation between us and boss man. But boss man cannot exercise any authority on this because he's controlled by somebody else. boss man have to help us with the small resources, whatever he has. He has to help us or stay out of the way. So whatever one he want to do, help a little, stay out of the way. But he cannot be, of course people can suggest stuff, but he can't pull no strings because he can't help. Number one, he's not European or anything, but he's pretty mean. That's just boss man. I'm not talking about the Zionists. Now remember, everybody recognizes, not everybody, there's a Zionist and then there's an American. For most of our time, it's been boss man. It's just been the mean. He's the one been catching us, hanging us, and doing that. But now, boss man is a victim too. It's just an analysis. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So we have to use what resources that we have against the same ancient historical global shaitan-inspired monster that everybody in history gets back to, right? Tell the truth. Sooner or later, we ain't mentioning no names. That's the way it go. Because this is the one that has the scriptures. He know what he doing, no matter what he, So we have to unify, we have to harmonize with the one that's a victim too. Boss man here, our local boss man, is a victim. He's been manipulated. Okay. So the original mean old boss man, we quiet him down for a while till he gets a little older and he dies. And his children are ready to go. You see what I mean? So we got to postpone the destruction till everybody's in place. See, vision is serious. That means that boss man is a victim of this big ism type thing. So, right? This is true. His Congress, his everything is controlled by that reality. Right? Controlled by it. Totally 100%. The milk cow, keep him big, strong, but weak at the same time and misguided. We'll be able to send him wherever we'll use up all his money. We'll have him ruined in the public eye. We'll keep him destroyed. But he'll have enough strength. It's like a cow or other animal you keep to domesticate them. Remember we talked about domestication not long ago, a year back. That's what we mean. Now, we have to domesticate America. Those other people, the concept of domestication, we're watching them to see what they have done to homeboy here. He is domesticated for them. Oh, 100%. 100%. Now remember, we're going to play our cards right. And everybody going to jump around and start all these name calling and all that. But we know who we're fighting. And eventually, so will everybody else. This is what they probably have. Sad to say, or happy to say, what we just mentioned, but they don't think a nigga's sophisticated enough to do it. That's wonderful. To underestimate your competitor, we won't call him enemy, to underestimate. They do it, and they still, even you can shoot a bullseye 50 times in a row. You don't believe it. This nigga, he got some trick up his sleeve. Right? How about our analysis? Just take our analysis in forecasting. How has that been going over the last years that anybody been around here? How is it? I mean, it seems kind of accurate, a little bit or a lot? Been very accurate, right? Okay, it's been very accurate. So, and who have we always waved to as we going by? Now we know there's 5 or 10% of y'all nice people out there, right? Who has that been? They do exist. That stuff, we were preparing for this period. In other words, for the period we're in now, we've been preparing for it all the time. All they want us to run around and waste a lot of energy building a masjid here, building up. That ain't gonna. All it is you building a house for police to live in, to stay in, right? Like all other, you got to study what you're doing, right? You have to study what you're doing. You have to study what they're doing. You have to get a feel of, The other thing is, do not underestimate the ability of boss man and boss man's leader. See, when boss man down near the end, things fall apart in every empire. Down near the end, okay, we've already struck that rock. Things are falling apart. Why are we moving like this now? Because we didn't have no clock that had a date when it was going to happen. You know what I mean? And we was operating off of a human environmental clock, call it something like that. Brother Tufail and I used to talk all the time. We'd say, is this the last go round? Talking about the one we're talking about now, or the second to the last. In other words, should we do what we're talking about the time after this one? Not this time. And this is it. It ain't no guarantee about the time after this time. This might be, look here, at the rate boss man headed, hey, you got to straighten him out in a hurry. Really, everything is on us. Not everything is on our side, but the human goodness is on our side. We just got to get the message to them, about, what it is. We got to give them a new dream, a new picture of the ideal world. We got to paint a picture of this world in which we're living in. Clean, fresh water coming down that you can drink, right? The way Allah gave it to us. We got to paint that in the picture, right? And if the human being done evolved enough to where, and they can see it, to where you don't have to, consumption is something from the Bezos and them, what Rockefellers. Consume, right? Produce. If you open anybody's thing up there, I know in my house there's plastic sitting up on here. You can't open nothing. It's like the commercial. The commercial where the white woman opened the thing and all the plastic fall out? That's any kind of plastic. I don't care what it is. If they ordered a lunch from JoJo's place or something, they put it in plastic. What do? They wash it out and stack it up. Everything is stacked up, right? Okay. Remember we talked about barges, big giant ships that go. We got it for 200 miles out. We got it for way out in the middle of the ocean. We got it from 1 mile from the shore to 1 mile. Remember, we didn't talk about all that stuff. Okay, they got people working on that. They just need to be funded. They need to be able to build 1,000 of those ships or convert the Navy, convert all of them. They got nuclear carriers. It'll run anything. All they got to do is put all that stuff to their power system, right? We could have nuclear tugboats with all the nuclear stuff they got. We could have that drags a city, right, behind it. And we could make all of those big super barges with foam. You know what I mean? Yeah. Weapon manufacturers got to go. Look, they got to go. They just got to go. I didn't say it was going to be that easy now. The weapons manufacturers.
I don't see how this is going to go down without fighting, because there's so much money.
Okay, well, look.
It's just.
They got everything tied up. They got the FBI. They got the CIA. They got everything is in their hands. It's a lot of money. Okay, you got to remember optimism. You got to think like this. You got to be optimistic. Now think about doing it. That's why. But okay, look. What do you have? There's all the people. What are the people dreaming about a better world? They don't have they're blocked off. They blocked off. They've cut off all avenues for happiness, right? You got to pay $50 million debt. What, before I even make $5, I got to, right? Who gave them that debt? Who gave them that debt? How was people going to college all this other for 1,000 years and never owe nobody nothing? Right? Okay, so now, whose side are the people going to be on? That's why we can't lose, because the people don't have nothing to lose. That's what makes revolution. I don't want to use that word. It's kind of a not passe word. That's where revolutions come from. The people are boxed in. The people now are boxed in. Nobody would tell you, we got another 50 years of this. They would all say, right? The teenagers, the old folks, everybody would say, this can't last much longer, right? So if you need to change it, what are the things you have to change? Remember all those people? And remember the 99%, we used to give the analogy. Suppose all these 99 people got to walk by your big rich house and you own everything in town, and these 99 people own less than you do, 1%, right? The same analogy. And they go walking back and forth, and you own everything in town. That's why if they own everything on earth, then pretty soon it's just stupid to say that's the problem, right? They ought to be the ones that are scared. They ought to be super paranoid. Man, if the people ever figure this out, and dog is right in front of their face, and even no matter what they do, I win. If they have a coronavirus, they give away all the money. They give me a special such and such, and I make more money in the last month or two than I even made way before with all the money I done stole from the people. We can't lose. And remember, the mean old Zionist and the red-blooded American. Never, there's enough people believe that Constitution. Now, what if George Bush says, it's only a rag? He called it a rag or something. How long do you think they can take that? We got a lot of allies. Do you know that the more we talk, the more allies, the people, they will eventually say, even the people that's been hiding and watching, and they watch everything happen, they say, man, that nigga there got a blessed covering or something going on, because we shoot niggas like that, drag them down the street, blow them up, stick a cigar in their ear and blow it up, anything. And he's still rolling around talking out of the side of his mouth and ain't missed a step. He's got to be all right. They're the ones that do all of that, so they know. And who like those bad guys from over there, the small little, telling them what to do? You got to remember, they white too. A lot of them is white. And they're arrogant. And you telling them, oh, you a good boss man. You got to remember now. You learn certain things for certain slavery. When they use it, you're trying to fix the thing. You don't care what role you have to play. You know what I mean? It's like getting beat all upside the head. Everybody was so sad from outside. It ain't nothing. Shoot us a break. They shoot everybody down, cut their throat, hang them upside down, and all I do is get busted upside the head. That ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. And then the safest place to hit a nigga where it don't kill him is in the head. Bust him upside the head. It won't bother him at all. He'll shake it off. That's just a joke. Anyway, dear believers, I'm going to move toward a close. We living in that period, in that time. This is all real. It's in here, it's out there, it's everywhere. You can't get away. You can't push your button on your phone or your television, and all this stuff comes running right out. What we're going to talk about Tuesday and in the future is the part we want to play in. Sooner or later, I'm going to head out to California and do some stuff out there. But I may do one thing, two things, come back here. I may do, it's what makes sense for the time in which we're living in. Does that make sense? What makes sense for the time that we're living in? And where are we according to our historical expectations? Where are we and where is the world according to what we expected? That's a serious question. Okay. Short-sighted leadership. We're not having none of that. Well, that must be for the white, them people. Mobilize global, national, regional for the service of good. There's too many mechanisms now to mobilize and then organize the masses of people. Some people go from one day they ain't got no people on their thing, and then the next day they got 1 million people on the whatever it is, right? So we'll use that until it's time. The only reason that nobody have verbalized these ideas in a clear, concise way with the government on their case. What I mean is, for instance, if we were downtown and we were coming back from wherever we was, right, and we have the police cut us off, you can tell he came here to do this, and you cut off. I mean, you know what I mean, right? You cut off. He ain't jumping out, get your hands up. He's just cutting you off. So I want to talk to you. And I think some of that you got on the thing, right? And what the first thing they do is trying to get us away from those white kids. That means they got them there. They stooges got them there, but they don't want us to see them as friends. Think about it. It's clear. Boss man then used all his magic to make sure that they have the type of people. It just so happens that most of the people that organized that was women and stuff. So down there, right? Most that's no problem. Okay. They didn't pay no attention to us at all, right? But the white folks was listening. And the police was listening too. Remember when they gonna have that phony fight? I said, okay, here they go now. And remember the police is there, and 25% of them is, so their little brains you can see it going around in their little brains, right? Okay, here they go now. Remember the white boy? And he's friendly to us at first. Yeah. Here they go now. They're getting ready and they had to stop, remember? Because we're calling them out. We're showing them this is ridiculous. You're not stupid enough to fall for that. And we're putting it on camera. This is what boss man do. Okay. You got to remember, if you just want to remember some of the little dumb things they did. We're there telling the first time we come out talking to the people, we're talking about the U.S. stole Mexico, and then there's a dumb Latino on a bicycle, remember? And what does he say? No, the United States didn't steal Mexico, and the white folks, they didn't read 2 history books, not no more than that, but they do know that Texas, San Antonio, San Jose, San Francisco is not Irish names. Right? It's not Irish names. Right? That everything out that way, Los Angeles, the city of the place of the angels. Right? Yeah. Everything. San Diego. Everything. And they know. And the people is looking at him like, and somebody must have pushed his beeper, shut up and go on about your business. Because he was on a bicycle, but we got him. Here's the point I'm making. Every time somebody showed up during that period, they might have had it there to say one thing, but it showed us another. Right? If they have the police come by us when we're down by not the White House or whatever that building is. Right. And they're coming by with the lawnmower making all the noise, something like that, then they go by. But you got to remember, when the police came by, the black police, what did they do? They let us know, right? That means that whether they playing or not, don't make no difference. That means we have allies that we know, and we got allies we don't know. We got people pushing for us, and right now all we have to do is do what's right, but make sure we're doing what's right for the right. No colorism in it. Remember, what the people are seeing is honesty, reality, which they've never seen before. Their captains are not honest. The head of the FBI is not honest, right? None of them are honest. Hardly none of them. So we have an image, and we have to keep that clean and make sure that if something come up smelly, we get out there and right away and said, this is the way that is, da 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 da. And the other thing is that nobody trusts their own system now. Nobody trusts it. Don't worry about it. They don't trust it. So what if we get the people engineer things so that they trust somebody, that's better? We don't have to have everything all we have to do is to do the best we can and do right. Use what reasonable intellect we have and see. The Quran talks about enemies that you know and enemies that you don't know, right? But what you don't get the idea of, that friends that you know and friends you don't know. Yeah. Look, that's already going on. I'll just put it this way and I'll close. I don't anywhere imagine that we could get to where we are right now without something going on. It's too long and it's too much. And it's on touch too high a level. The people that's watching, they know this ain't no nigga stuff. This, we made niggas. We know what they do. This is not nigga stuff, and it haven't been for 50 years, at least. So you have to feel the presence of, if you want to call it Allah or Allah working through people, same thing, Allah working through people. Let's just figure we're lucky. We call all these terms and we talk about the Zionist to his face and make him mad all the time. And you haven't got a scratch on you, something's going on. What do they do to other characters like that historically? How long are they around? So there's something going on, and it's in our favor. Are there any questions, any comments? Tuesday, we're going to be a little more specific about what we want to do.
They was going to build a tower and look on the God of Musa. I guess this is a reference.
Look on the God of who?
Of Musa. I guess maybe this is a reference to Pharaoh or something. That Pharaoh, he was going to order a tower built so that he could look down on Allah.
Oh, you're talking about the tower, not the Tower of Babel.
Maybe that's what he's getting. But he mentioned Musa.
Yeah, that's what Pharaoh said. Build me a tower so I can,
Right.
Yeah, I guess.
down on your God or.
Right. Well,
About the arrogance of Zionists, maybe what it's referring to.
so what does it say now?
Oh, he was saying, it was just a comment where he said they was going to build a tower and look down on the God of Musa.
Okay, right, I got it. What ayat is that in?
I can't remember the ayat. I've read it before.
Right. No, I have two. I just want to get to it. If anybody can pull that up.
This is one of the brothers said, Brother Imam, you know about subliminal seduction. Place
All right.
a mission on one level, that conscious level, and a seductive message on the subconscious level by use of repetition.
He's talking about it's on subliminal suggestion. Right?
Yeah, seduction.
Seduction, yeah.
You know about subliminal seduction.
Yeah, I do.
Where you place a message or a mission on one level, that's the conscious level, and a seductive.
Oh, yeah, now I got the question now. Yes. He been listening. Whoever that is been paying attention. Yes. In the 1970s, 75, Imam Muhammad placed in the newspaper at that time, it was not an advertisement for the book Subliminal Suggestion, but he said he read it. When he said he read it, we all read it. We all knew about it in different ways. Subliminal suggestion works like this. They did experiments at universities and everywhere, and one is with there's 24 frames in a movie. It used to be 16. Remember when the old time movies people would walk real quick, and that was because it was 16 frames in the motion instead of 24. 24, the people walk and talk slow just like we do. But in the old days, the silent movies, they had 16 frames. Okay. But now, if you place, well, I'll give you the experiment. The thing was with popcorn. So within every frame, they have one frame that had a big box of nice popcorn. Okay, then after the movie, when everybody would go outside, they all went, bought popcorn, except one. And that person was asleep during the movie. Everybody else bought. So they can't see that hot box of popcorn, right? Because it's in one frame. It's very light. But the mind can see it. The eye don't see it, but they're picking up all the time they're watching that movie. Every 24 frames or every once a minute is showing that hot popcorn. Subliminal suggestion means that there's a line above that line is visible and you see and it's perception. Below that line, subliminal suggestion. That you can suggest things to the mind below this line of visibility, and the people are going to act off that subliminal suggestion. So from what I pick up is that the brother is saying or implying is that we've been using that type of thing all along. And he wouldn't be wrong. It wouldn't be wrong because we do what we want to do. And the other thing, if we believe in the scriptures at the time of the transition, either the world is going to be destroyed or it's going to be fixed, right? We want to be on the fixed side. We don't want it to boil over and other stuff like that. So we really believe that we're going to be in that number. And the other thing is, there may be another whole million other people around the world that's getting the same vibe. It's called a collective consciousness. It's like when everybody was decolonization. Before, everybody going about their business, everybody colonized. And then all of a sudden, decolonization. And everybody was on that. It means that there's a collective consciousness. And the better worldism, the tired of warism, our ability to use, we can hook up utopia anytime we want it. It's just that we're not doing it. Who's stopping it? Bezos and them guys that's got all the money, right? And the government. Remember, they done already set up the cast for us. We ain't making it up. Remember, who's the bad guys? You know, those people, the real close friends of Shaitan, they are there. Everybody know that they exist somewhere, right? And then there is the American system. Okay? So we have to paint, not paint. What did we say we were going to try to produce? A different picture, a better picture of the future. Okay, now, in China, they're getting close to what they might be ahead of the picture that they had about what was, you know, they didn't think that they'd get this far this fast and everybody would be having full meals, all that. They thought it'd take 100 years easy. In other words, it'd be in 2049, we might be getting close to that. They're there now. We have to sell, remember this thing about being number one. That's a big sale. America, you can be number one. But only to do good. You're going to be America the good. Now, you know we've been talking that a long time. It ain't new. And it even takes some courage to mention America the good, because people might think this nigga done went off, America the good. He never saw it before. That's why you could sell it easy, because, right? You can sell gold in California. Gold is in them there hills. People overseas, the streets of America are paved with gold. They'll jump on ships, jump on boats, jump out of airplane, anything to get to America. All we have to do is recreate, remember what they said, what they say about empire of their own. Empire of their own. That's some people built Hollywood. There's Warner Brothers, Foxes, and all them people. They produced the picture of America. They produced it, and Americans go, about who you are, this is who you are. Because that's the picture they wanted it to be. They was in gulags and being poor in Russia and all that. And when they came over here, even with an old accent, they could do anything they wanted, and they could get all these beautiful American women and the head of the studio. This is it. It's unbelievable. He was living in a hole over in Russia and come over here and in all, hey man, this is America. And they painted, they went over everything. There was a time you go to movies and you didn't think slavery ever existed. No such thing. There's cowboys and Indians, and there's bad Indians. Indian giver. If somebody give you something and take it back, you'll call it a white man giver. He give you something and say, I ain't said that. You know, you sign, okay, that's it, right? Here's the point. We have a great opportunity. In our section of whatever we're doing, all we have to do is do that part the best we can. with only good intentions, no bad niyyah, right? That's all we have to do. And that's what we're doing. That's been the protection. That's why the white man can't do anything until Allah wants him to be successful. You know, and nobody else. Mel Gibson talked about the Jews, and he done grew a long beard and repented and everything. I ain't repenting about nothing, right? And then when they pops up in the newspaper the other day, they popped it on that. Something is going, you got to figure this. You don't have to figure it out. All you got to do is cruise for a while. We're going to keep doing what it seems like Allah wants us to do. There's nothing better than this. And we're going to be in good company. All of those people, those, what the people used to call the good people of America, like the white people who was walking down the street, those are the good people. And I told Imam Jamil, yeah, that's what they told me. I was up in Iowa, you know, at the Masjid and telling them about Dawah. And finally they said, I was talking about going into prisons. They said, well, what about the good people of America? The white people, I guess. I said, no, that's what I was talking about. When I got down to Atlanta, I told Imam Jamil, he said, no, there's a memo out about that. Go to those people. You may not remember, and I'll close with this. Steve Johnson, I don't know if you ever see it, that's the head of Dawah in America. Daoud Zwink, you remember Daoud Zwink? You could tell it ain't no nigga. Remember the white lady that was the president that used to ride around on a scooter and this and the programs? President of this. Those are the good people. And a nigga couldn't get his time of day. Not the time of day, right? Okay. That had a chance to live out its. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about Mellah. Y'all, we don't have to worry about none of that. Allah is taking care of everything. We got to just stay tuned to the signals. Let's call them ayats. Ayats in the universe and ayats in ourselves. That's all we got to do. And that's technically all we're doing. We come down here and run the spill and whatever we need. Remember, and I really will close with this, that for, who's that? Daoud? Yeah. Allah gave him power, wisdom, and whatever else he wills. Whatever he needed. That's what Allah gave him. That's the way we feel about it. We don't, Allah will hook us up. Internet and all of that magic stuff, whenever Allah wanted, he'll hook us up. You know, we just got to stay right. We can't fall victim to niggerhood. It's the terriblest thing in the world is to be a low-lifed nigger. No, everybody feels that way, and it's true. We used to have what we call big niggas and little niggas. The worst thing in the world was to be, my partners, I was hanging around with a group, I closed with a group of people on the other side of town, and my friend that was on that side of town, and he was a family friend. He was one of the biggest pimps he was about second or third as far as amongst the pimps. He wasn't one of the Ward brothers, but they was in that clique. And so he saw me hanging around with a couple of guys. They had Cadillacs, they had all that nice. And so he told me, because he was on the other side of town with them, he said, those is little niggas. You hanging around with JR and them niggas is little. said, thank you very much. So he didn't have to tell me how they little, why they little, when they little. That's all he had to tell me. They was little. That means they not like you. You a big nigga. But you don't know them niggas little niggas always try to get up close to big niggas so they can get something from them. So he was telling me, yeah, them is little niggas. You know, and in those days, the worst thing in the world is to be a little nigga. I'm telling you, boy, that is terrible. So anyway, we just, we thank Allah. No, hey man, this stuff is going our way. You can believe it or not. It's going our way. It don't make no difference even how a person feel about it. But everybody will get the message to do certain things at a certain time, and they'll be the right thing to do for what we're trying to do. If our part is global rescue mission, if we don't do our part correctly, the world will turn into a garbage bin, right? I mean, remember, and I'll close, acceleration. Just in your own life, think about 5 years ago, think about 10 years ago, and think about now. This thing is going down fast, real fast. That means we're expecting big help. We expect to go from like them racing cars, they go in a quarter mile, good ones, they go from 0 to 100, 0 to something or other, you know, whatever they got. That's where we got to go. We got to go from 0 to 150, 200 miles an hour right away. Right away. That's where we're headed, because that's where the world is. And do it comfortably and happy. And whoever the people we meet along the way, people we thought was big and important, some of them will be wanting to slow us down, and some of them will be wanting to help. Yeah, I look forward to this. I think it's a great opportunity. Are there any more questions? Okay, alhamdulillah. Are there any questions from us?
Yeah, actually, give me 1 second. Right. So I was following a lot of kind of startup news and things like that. And one of the things you kind of see is people trying to, in order to create the drive to solve the climate crisis, to solve homelessness, they are basically incentivizing things using the monetary system, pretty much. There's money to be made in solving these solutions.
Right. And
That being said, there is a genuine kick now to solve homelessness and solve the eco problems we have now in our environment. And there's a lot of funding going on for startups and things like that. So my question to you is, that probably is one of the quickest ways to turn this around. But that whole venture capitalism is how we got here.
right,
So
no.
isn't that just a Band-Aid?
It's not only a Band-Aid, but we're not gonna do any of that unless things come in a certain way. We're not accepting government packages. What I told them a long time ago, I said, you know, in the bait, the way they go by and throw money, I said, now if they come by and throw $1 million on the thing and they don't need no receipt or nothing, fine, we'll pick it up and take it and use it for what we want. That's our attitude. Except in this, there's a certain, we should get our signals correct. So when we realize that we're working with people from inside that have they're compatible with, or semi-compatible with where we're trying to go. No matter what part they played in it, then this whole thing is so big, we don't think we're going to solve it, me and you and 3 or 4 people, right? That means we have to have people to soften up the media so we can be in the media talking freely about what we want to do. And we believe that when people hear that, it may sound a little strange, but we feel like we can convince and turn the people on to this idea. You got to remember, those ideas catch on. I mean, imagine white kids in 1962 not even knowing, they know black people exist, they hear a little music, and they like it. But by 1965, in 66, when you go to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair, right? Yeah, all of that stuff. Bam! That was in the old days, things could happen fast. That means we could be sitting here right now, and 1 year from now, we're on a rocket ship zipping around doing certain stuff. That's what we have to be prepared for. We have to prepare ourselves for it. And I feel that's where we're headed. I feel that's where they're headed. We have to make it comfortable for the people that want to cooperate. Not comfortable, but not too hard to not cooperate, but, in other words, there's people in the system, which includes the FBI and everybody else, right? If we're telling all the people go join, anybody you want to just join, you're going to try to kill you soon anyway, right? That's true. That's actually true. Okay, now, there are people that have already developed a trust level. Why? Because they didn't follow your record all along. And there's people that even take bets, even years ago. I bet you nigga do this, I bet you do that. And they're getting everything. And the ones that bet with you wins all the time, and the ones that bet against you, I bet you he can't stand up against this cutie pie. We're going to send a cutie pie with big old round pretty eyes and long straight hair, right? And she going to be this skin tone. I bet you ain't going to be able to stand that. And you just drive right on by. And drive right on by, and you keep on going. Pretty soon, inside, you develop a cheering section inside the system. Yeah, a cheering section. And this has been going on for a long time. I tried to tell Abdul Malik about that over 20 years ago. He either didn't understand it or didn't believe it. But you could feel, when you do stuff so long, you can feel the presence of what's, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like one of the people that used to come to the Masjid every now and then was a blind guy. And we would fix meals there or something, and he would tell me certain things because he could feel them. He could tell them, like, for instance, he said, if I stick my head out on the street, I can tell how fast the car is coming, how far it is, and everything. And then I just go boogity across the street. He can't even see. Because Aladdin gave him a sense to deal with those things. You know what I mean? So if a car, me and you, We got to see the car. 80% of our stuff come from what we see. We may see it before we hear it. We might, but when you get in a special thing and you do it so long, you get hooked up. That's what I think has been going on. It's been going on. And so, alhamdulillah, it's got to been going on. Unless you believe that a nigga's a miracle man or something. A miracle. That nigga there is a miracle. Talking all that trash, all that time, and just sitting around and doing taking a walk in the hills, do what he want, and that's what the nigga do. And ain't nobody with him, ain't nobody helping him, he just doing it by himself. This is possible if it's Allah got him protected like that, but who Allah gonna use? Other folks, right? Allah gonna use folks. I mean, I could imagine there's still some mystic stuff flashing out of the sky from time to time, but usually whatever you get as a gift, Allah gonna send that gift to you through somebody else. If Allah protect you, somebody else gonna have the power to block the blow, for you. So anyway, that's the way we feel about it. So far, so good. If there's no more questions and no more comments, okay. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha anta astaghfiruka.